Welcome to Wine Plus AI. We're your hosts and wine lovers, Adrie and Seyna. This is the podcast where we break it all down for real people, not the people who are working in the terminal.
Just the truth about AI. What's brilliant, what's broken, and what's straight up ridiculous.
Let's get into it.
Welcome back to another episode of Wine and AI. First things first, of course, I'm going to introduce our wine of the week, which is a quite exciting one. It fits well to the theme that we chose today. So the wine is Il Bruto and the Beast. And what is this wine about? This wine is basically all about tension, brute strength on one side, wild beast on the other. And that brings us to our topic of the day, because basically that's the same as creativity in the AI era too. Sometimes you get the brilliance and sometimes you get the chaos, but the tension really is what makes it exciting. AI can be brute force content, but does it actually capture the beastly spark of real creativity?
Okay. Yeah. Well, cheers.
Cheers. Let's dive in.
When discussing this episode, there was a really killer example. And I think it was the first time you heard about it, right? I told you. All right. So Tilly Norwood, she's the hottest thing in Hollywood right now. She is an AI-generated actress. There are about a bajillion podcasts already out there about her. I don't need to dive too much into it, but I do think that she is kind of a spark for this debate around AI creativity, because of course the SAG-AFTRA, which is the union for actors in the US, basically have had a massive outcry against her, basically saying, yeah, this is she's been trained on human performances without permission or compensation to those actors. It's exploitative, and basically creativity, I quote, creativity is and should remain human-centered. So that is the essence of our discussion today, about all of these AI-generated people, but also about AI-generated art and creativity, rather than as kind of a power to your creativity. I think that's what we're seeing quite a lot of. I've been doing some experimenting today, even with AI avatars, and it is scary. Definitely scary.
Yeah, I think scary is the best way to describe it. When we were first talking about her specifically, I kind of also went into a bit of a rabbit hole on the use of AI, especially in film. And it is, on one hand, really impressive what is possible in the world now and what is possible with technology. But I think scary is really the best way to describe it, because it makes it also so hard to actually differentiate between what's real and what isn't. And I think that raises the question of,
deep fakes.
Does it matter if it's real or if it isn't? What's your take on that?
Yeah, so I think that came up today because Sora 2 just released, which is also, it frustrates me a lot because Sora 2, we're based in the Netherlands. It's not going to be released here for a while, so I won't be able to use that. But I did see kind of the initial trailer for it. And it gave me mixed feelings. On one hand, I'm like, that's great. If you can imagine it, it can happen, and it can give you a good base of something that is actually pretty good and pretty smooth with audio, etc. And if you haven't seen it, please check it out. But on the other hand, it's like your imagination literally is the limit. So it's basically opened the door and democratized creativity for people who are unskilled, let's just say. So for me in particular, I'm not a designer, I'm not a videographer, but all of a sudden I could make, hypothetically, this is a caveat, I've not yet tested it, I could make a feature-length film based off of whatever I imagine. So it has to have this kind of, skill is no longer the differentiator here.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. I think the question that raises for me, if you look at the Tilly example specifically, would you then classify her as a piece of creative work or as a human replacement? Because I think that's kind of where the difficulty lies in this.
Okay. I have you saw my disgusted face. Listeners won't. But on one hand, I'm like, yeah, that is disgusting. I think it's weird that they created basically a hot chick number one. That's the first thing that they start with, a hot chick, which is just like, that's our civilization in general. We're a podcast with 2 women here, so I think we can say that. And on the other hand, I'm like, well, everybody else's job is being threatened to be replaced. Why not actors as well? They will also experience the same. It's just as horrendous as it is when you in marketing are being saying, basically somebody's saying like, yeah, you're going to be replaced by AI eventually, or you're a designer and you're going to be replaced by AI. Yeah, now physical acting can also be replaced. Yeah, I don't know. It makes me mixed feelings.
Yeah, I would challenge your take on physical acting can also be replaced, because I think with the AI art, let's call her that, or the AI machine, I think the one thing that it can never replace is actually the authenticity and the depth. And I think that's kind of the sad part about it, is that there is so much hype also around doing more creative things with AI, because to me at least, art is always about the depth and that authenticity piece as well. So I find it kind of scary that a lot of people are on the, I'm going to call it hype train to things that don't have that.
So I have 2 points about this. One is about the authenticity and the second is about the hype train. So the first about authenticity is, indeed, I think we like actors, specific actors in general, because they have a story around them. Yeah, you might watch a Jennifer Aniston film, not just because she's a great actress, but rather because you know her from Friends and because she has a bit of this gossip column behind her, a lot of stories behind her, and she has this personality, right? I'm not sure AI characters will necessarily deliver that. So the authenticity is not necessarily there. And a lot of what makes actors big is this industry in Hollywood that is, you know, basically coupling actors together, having them, you know, date Kim Kardashian, for example, or be in the cover of the Times Magazine or whatever it is, or Hello Today. Hello Today, is that a magazine?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. So, or maybe those are 2 different magazines. I think those are 2 different magazines. But I think a lot of what goes into making an actor or actress authentic is in the background as well, not just necessarily on their on-screen performances. And same with art in general.
Yeah, and I think on the actor piece as well, yeah, you have the background layer of them and obviously how they live, what they do, but you also have the experiences they lived. Like, may that be, I don't know, a childhood struggle or actually having lived through breakups that they're also then representing on screen and representing those emotions. I don't see how AI is ever going to be able to portray feelings, because yes, of course, you can describe what to feel and how to kind of show those emotions. But I do feel like sometimes there's movies where you can really feel the emotions of the actors and also maybe due to, yeah, their personal experiences. And I think that's the kind of like layer of depth I don't see how that is possible with AI.
So I think on this emotional and the skill level, so AI does have the skill to play Chopin, of course, but it doesn't have the emotion to play Chopin after a breakup, which makes it so beautiful. If you know that story, then you as a listener feel so much more connected. I think that's an important element to art in general. And then I think the other side, just circling back to my second point, which was this, on the other side of Tilly Norwood is this AI hype that everybody's jumping on and they're like either hard yes to Tilly Norwood or hard no, we don't want these things, or we definitely want to use more AI avatars, more AI actors, more AI creativity in general. I somehow feel, especially in the example of Tilly Norwood, I do feel that this is more of like jumping on to get more publicity so that everybody knows that this is something that people are talking about right now. And if you are a agency looking to represent actors and actresses, if you say yes or no, you're automatically somewhere mentioned in this headline. So you just want to have a say. And I don't necessarily think that it means any sort of commitment. I don't know if I think that's also the same with I don't think we see it yet in tech, that people are really making a stance on this. It's interesting that it's happening now with the kind of film industry.
Yeah, I think it depends on the tech world. Like, I think there are a few cases where it's becoming more of a topic, especially in regards to designing products and having a human versus just fully AI designed products and what kind of experience that creates. But I do think that it's kind of on a very different level, because the product is something you use, right? So it's something you might connect with on a certain level, but it is usually more functional than anything. Whereas, of course, a person or a AI human is something where, given the industry of film, you want to have that personal connection with and are trying to actually relate to. So I think that's also a big reason why that's bigger or more hyped. And of course, given also what the industry is, that also makes sense. I think one argument I saw that was used quite a lot for Tilly was making actual production more accessible and more cost affordable. And I thought it was quite interesting because there were quite a lot of takes on this, but I'm very curious to hear your take on this.
Okay, so I was thinking about this on the bike ride over. And on one hand, I was like, yeah, it's just lazy. It's just lazy. It's like, especially, well, in marketing, you have all these AI avatars, and I'm kind of like, it just is kind of lazy marketing. And I also feel the same sometimes. Like, if you are using Midjourney to create a motion or like a feature length film, then it feels kind of lazy, if you know what I mean. Like, you didn't go through all of the effort to do the production. You didn't, in marketing, you didn't find the person to be on camera. You didn't develop X, Y, or Z. And then I kind of caught myself thinking this way, and I was like, am I just passing on kind of pseudo generational trauma that I had to do this so that you now have to do this and we don't have to change the way we're working. You just have to work within the system. It's introducing a completely new and uncomfortable way of working. Is it lazier? Is it, yeah, I don't know. I did catch myself because I do want to be more open to these sort of things, but it does have to help us connect better. It does have to lead to a better end result. And I'm just not sure Tilly Norwood is going to lead us to a better end result. If you look at her, she is also so generic. And I think purposefully so. Again, she is just a hot chick. She's a hot chick. That's it. And I don't think she's adding anything to our actor portfolio that we have globally.
Yeah, I think someone directly compared her to be the next Scarlett Johansson of
oh my God.
Of Hollywood. So I can totally see that point.
How dare they? How dare they? Scarlett has a lot more than her.
Definitely. First things first, she is an actual human.
Yeah.
To start with. Yeah, I can totally see your point there. I'm not sure if I would necessarily call it lazy. Because I do think yes, the work looks different, right? Like if you're, I guess, prompting someone or something, that is a different experience than if you are, of course, doing all of the regular movie production things. So I'm not sure if, lazy is what I would use, but I can see your point because I do think it does feel like taking a shortcut. Like I do think all the work that goes into actual like movie production and doing so successfully with also doing 50 takes of a scene or 200 takes of a scene is kind of what also makes a movie a movie. And to me at least, I would always rather have something that is a bit less amazing by the terms of whoever makes those terms, and see that on screen than have the perfectly AI generated movie that just exists and doesn't really give me that rawness that I'm looking for in like media at least.
So I also had I was also testing a few AI avatars before coming here as well. And the technology that's out there is scary because, of course, you have people I say people, AI characters like Miss Norwood. But what I find problematic is you can give it an image of yourself and it will automatically start talking for you. And I think did you see what I posted on Slack?
I did.
Okay. So in this version of an AI avatar, which is me, based on me, it automatically made my face skinnier and definitely gave me veneers and made my lips way more full. So I looked like a health and wellness influencer rather than a real person, rather than me, which was like, I was quite taken aback by that because it means that it's been either trained or designed to look like that, which shows the, beauty standards, et cetera, et cetera. I don't need to go into this ad nauseum, but it's really crazy. And it made me feel bad because my husband, I showed this immediately to my husband and he was like, "Oh, you look really good there." And I was like, "How dare you?" How dare you? AI is just trained on something that is just too perfect or makes it too perfect.
Yeah, and I think one really good point you also imply here is that AI and the models have bias, right? They have the bias of what our societal norm of beauty is, for example, and they will by default make those adjustments to, in this case, you and your non-existent usually veneers, and that were very bright, by the way.
Yeah. I was like, should I get veneers?
Maybe not in that color.
No.
But yeah, I think it is quite scary also when you think about if more AI and more AI generated people are being used in movies, for example, those models that are being used to generate them will be trained on each other at some point, which means you get I like to call it like AI beigeness.
Yeah. I was just going to say that.
Annual beige, the same, but in AI. And you are going to get that as well. And then everything will start looking the same, feeling the same, and there is no actual newness or creativity in creating movies in this case. And then where is the joy in that also from a consumer perspective?
No, I agree. And I think if I kind of expand that to creativity and not just the film industry and not just AI avatars, we kind of have less fuel to kind of fuel our creativity, that we don't see enough things that are completely different in a way that's relatable and very human and connected to a human story that's authentic, to develop something ourselves and to say, oh, that inspired me, that sparked this idea that I have about this one aspect of it. Instead, you're seeing all of the same AI beige. And I mean, if I look at I'm looking at like B2B marketing stuff on a daily basis, that's already very beige. So in this case, it might be like a net positive that it like kind of shakes things up and more people can do more things. But if I look at creativity in general, yeah, it's not a great outlook as it sits right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I think also, even though I think no matter what, AI art will be part of society to a certain extent in the coming years. And I think also in the film and also outside the film industry, it will be relevant. I do think also one really important aspect there is that at the end of the day, it needs to be transparent. So people also see what they're being exposed to and understand that it is AI, and it needs to be ethical. And I think that's something that we haven't covered that much so far, but the ethical aspect of it is so vital and so concerning.
Yeah, and it's just, again, we're in this like fast era of AI, and we don't stop to think like, should we do this? Like, is this a net good? Is this right for people?
What's the impact on us and as society with it?
Yeah, on a side note, I'm at an age where I have now more and more parent friends, and albeit these are friends who are new parents, they're not parents to children who are, maybe starting to consume online content. But I do always ask them what they think about these sort of topics and how they want to potentially, if they had a child of that age, how would they address it? And every single parent is like, I don't know. it's hard to make an opinion for yourself, but it's also even harder if you're a parent to say yes or no to exposing your kid to these sort of things. And yeah, I just think it's a tough time.
Yeah, and I think there's also only so much that is in your control, right? Like your kid is going to go to school. The learning experience is also changing for children. It's also becoming more and more online, and there's also more and more AI involved in this. So I do think there's only, so much a parent can do, which makes it a very hard thing to answer because you can't necessarily keep your child away from it. So you need to find probably a way to balance it healthily. Yeah.
So I want to round out this episode with a bit of practical guidance on, I kind of feel that we're going in the direction of like, AI is not necessarily great for societal creativity, but might be great for individual creativity. It does kind of open up, if you can imagine it, it can happen. If you can learn the tool, if you can test things out, if you're open to that, then it can open a lot of doors. What do we want to say to people who want to have maybe a bit more of a positive outlook on this?
Yeah, I think what we can say to people, or what we're saying to people, is that it's all about how you end up using it for yourself. So if you are going in with the right intent of using AI as an enabler, also to fuel your creativity and to broaden your horizons, may that be from a getting more insights perspective or getting some ideas, that's a good thing. But relying on it as your kind of like input tool and output tool, I think that's where the line becomes quite blurry.
Yeah. And at least on my end, I do feel that it allows, for me personally, using Midjourney and a lot of these creative tools with AI kind of embedded in them, it's opened up a whole range of possibilities for me. And that even if I have like an inkling of an idea, I put it in and I get something that's like, wow, insane now. But I would challenge people to think differently, to look for inspiration that is not online, that is not feeding into this AI beige. But I think if you're looking at actresses like this and looking at their beauty standards and thinking like, yeah, this is where we should be, that's a problem. And you're thinking like, yeah, this is what all actresses or all of my AI avatars should look like, that's a bit troubling. So think differently. Try something that's a little bit out of the box, but it can expand your skills, basically. All right. So that's the end of our episode. Again, we have lots of new content coming out on the Joy Lab. This is the #1 place where we're exploring AI for joy, not the fast creation of things, but more about how AI can make your life more joyful and how, you can find more joy in what you do at work. So that's the place, and see you next time.
That's it for this week. You know the drill.
Like, subscribe,
and see you next week.
Cheers.